Clear, clear, clear. What's up, y'all? It's your boy, babe boy, and today we are bringing episode 3 of the Think Tank podcast. We have the usual cast today, T and Joe,
Was
What up?
goody?
and today we have a special guest with us to bring a perspective to the podcast we have not had yet before. Our homie Dominic,
Hello guys, I'm Dom.
and let's get right over to the topics we'll be having today. We have our League Challenge and Cup recaps, meta calls and rogue decks, new cards and hidden fates, the weekly meta update, any changes we've had from like our top picks for these tournaments coming up, and since like I said before, we do have a seniors for once, why don't we just hear what the seniors meta is, and a personal topic of mine, why do people take competitive Pokemon so serious? So we did recently have a League Cup on Monday, I believe it was, in Elk Grove, and Dom went over, and let's have him talk over his rounds and see how good he did at that tournament. Why don't you take it away, Dom?
Alright, so there's like Michael said, there's a League Cup in Elk Grove on Monday, so that was fun. And we had 11 seniors, and that was a big turnout since we normally have 4 or 5 or 6 or around that number. We don't really have double digits that often, so we had a top 4 cut, which was cool. And I guess I'll just go round by round. So round 1, I got a bye, which is kind of cool. I just got to hang out and chill. So that was kind of cool. And then round 2, I played against Psyduck Slowpoke, which was a bad matchup because I was playing Green Card. I was like, shoot. And then I went into the matchup, and he was drawing good, and I was drawing good, so it was pretty even. And then I was just able to kill his Psyduck Slowpokes with a double blaze with 6 energies, and then I was able to just use a high heat blast, and then just finish it off with the flare strike, which was nice. And then round 3, I faced against a Green Zard. He couldn't draw well, and I also went second and got turn 1 flare starter, so he just scooped after like turn 3 because I was ahead in prizes like 1-6. So yeah, so I knew I was just gonna ID into cut, and I ID'd with a fellow senior and friend, Caden, and yeah, I knew he was playing Kalio Nagquag, and that was a terrible matchup for me, unless he didn't know how to play it, and he didn't know how to play it, so we went into top 4, and I was facing him because I was first seed and he was 4th. Probably my worst matchup. So I went into that game 1. He didn't really know how to approach the matchup, so I took that game because I was just hitting him with my Volcanions and then tried to power up a big Charizard quick. And then that's how game 1 went, and then I was feeling pretty confident because I thought I knew the matchup. And then game 2, we went in, and he just started attacking with Nagquags and not benching Keldeos, which is the way to win the matchup, basically, because you just attack everything with Nagquag and you one-shot my Volks with just 3 energies on it. So, yeah, that was rough. And then game 3 just did the same thing and beat me. And, yeah, that's how my Elk Grove tournament report went, basically. And,
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You got a top 4, better than I think everyone in the podcast here today so far.
Yeah, we all didn't do too hot.
Wait,
Dom, how you doing for your invite right now? Are you going for your worlds?
I am going for my Worlds.
How you doing?
I'm at 350 points,
Wow, dude.
Wag.
and I am
Nice.
7th global, or 7th US Canada.
Amazing.
Keep it up, man.
We have an all-star in the podcast here today, boys.
As of September 5th. I don't want to get flacked in case it changes.
Yeah.
Look at and he has, and he's humble. Look at him.
What a nice guy.
So you said
then-
you ended
Alright,
up
Joe.
going, Joe. Why don't you give us a quick little 1-2?
Yeah, so I went and played my Malamar list. T actually convinced me to put in custom catchers the night before, so I threw him in, just went with it. Didn't do too hot. I went 2-1-2 drop. So I had to take a tie my round 3. But then I basically was like 2-0-1 and had to win out to make top cut. But I had a really gross game where we both bricked terribly, and he unbricked first, and I lost. Matchup wise, very unexciting. I had 3 Malamar mirror matches. I actually did not drop a single match in SAT. I actually tied one. I beat 2 Malamars. I tied one. And then I actually also played 2 Keldeos. 2 Keldeo Nagaquags. And first game, he drew like crazy, and he won the prize trade. So I lost to my friend Jacob. He actually went on to top cut. And then the second Nagquag was the one that I went 0-2, or we both bricked. He started. It was actually kind of funny. He started the Magikarp Wailord tag team and didn't draw supporters for like 8 turns, and was just attach pass. Then my problem was I prized my Ultra Necrozma and some Mysterious Treasures, and I couldn't get out my Giratina and my Malamars. So it was just kind of an awkward. I'm spreading a little bit with Mew because I started Mew, and then he's just attaching to Wailord, making this giant bomb, and then he sets up, gets his Nagaquags up, and then just blows up my board with Towering Splash for like 5 prizes. And yeah, at that point it was just over. But no, it was fun. The list was good. I think I just made some misplays that just practice will help with.
Yeah, and like you said, you did a last minute change, so you probably weren't, you weren't like 60 for 60 of comfortableness.
Yeah, I mean, it's alright. That's part of the game. So
And T, you just made like an appearance, right? You didn't end up doing nothing?
Yeah, I made an appearance. I walked around, got to, scope out the meta a little bit, and there were a lot of people like playing Blounds.
Yeah, boy.
And then, a few Nagquags showed up, and man, no one expected that, because there was fire all around the room.
Yeah, I think there were 3 Nagquag players. Two of them actually made cut, and then the other one had some bricking issues. That was the one I faced.
Yeah.
It's a matter of
Good
time.
call.
Yeah, like the seniors meta, there was like, I think there's like 8 or something Reshizards, and then 1 Keldeo, and then 1 Mewtwo. So it's like really bad matchups for us Reshi players.
Does seniors meta tend to be more so more linear? So like you got a lot more of the favorites like Pikarom and like Reshizard, and it's not as diverse as Masters, would you say?
Yeah, like ours is like, our meta is a lot of like Reshizard and Pikarom. I feel like we don't have, and like Malamar and stuff. We don't have a lot of like Nagquags and like different out of the ordinary stuff in our meta. So it's like pretty interesting to see a Nagquag and a Mewtwo there.
So no one really takes no chances, basically.
Yeah, basically they want to just play safe with what they know and hope to just outskill their opponent.
So I know going into the event, it was full for like a week or whatever. So how did you guys look there? Was it pretty packed? Did everyone actually show up?
The store hit capacity.
Because I know being a former organizer, sometimes it'll be full, but then people don't show up because they think it's full. You know what I mean?
Well, it was a very
table outside.
Hey,
Yeah,
that's the big boy spot outside.
they also had like a wait list of like, I believe it was in the like teens, like 18, 19, maybe even 20s.
That's
a lot
crazy.
A lot of
That's
people
good for
trying to get into
game
the store.
too, bro.
It was a very well-run event, to be honest. It just took a while to get started because like a lot of people were turning deck lists in late or getting there later, stuff like that.
Yeah, that's just what it's. I'm assuming they had around 50 or 60 total.
Yeah, there's like 53, I think, or something. The capacity, or I think I could be wrong though.
Yeah, but we also had really good judges for the event.
Yeah.
Let's go really smoothly.
my main question is, because people won't understand this if they're out of the local area, but is it still lawn chairs?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Were there
that's-
any infamous? No shade to the store, because I love the store. The people there are very, very nice. But were there any incidents where the chairs would snap?
None. I decided while I was there to walk around and make sure people weren't leaning back in their seats, so there were no
Okay.
snaps,
Hey, look at good
and no
guy
broken
T.
necks.
But
Good thing you weren't looking at me when I was eating my chicken strips.
Oh.
But sorry for the sidetrack, because I wasn't able to go, and that store has very memorable things, and one of them being the garden chairs. But it's a wonderful store, wonderfully ran.
Yep, very.
So I
Yeah,
believe
love that.
before the cup, I guess since if we had my local store at a league challenge, I believe it was like 2 days before. So I guess since I'm the only one who went there, I guess I'll do a little recap. I wasn't prepared totally. It's fine. But I'll just go off of memory to be honest, because I can't multitask. But yeah, fail. Oof. Ha! But basically the decks you expected to be there were there. Your Reshizards, there was a few Blounds. Actually, I think I was one of the only. I think there was maybe 2 or 3, and then 2 of them were locals. And then the same thing with Malamar. There was nothing really too out of the ordinary. Finn and his friends were playing Malamar with their own little twist on it. And
Yep.
round 1, I saw someone play Sigilif in their Malamar, and I was like, what is this boy? The man went mind blown for knockout, and he was like, you're knocked out too, bud. Give me my 2 prize cards. So that was pretty interesting. There was some other stuff that happened, but we'll talk about that towards the end, with a little bit of people getting a little bit too heated. But as far as the meta goes, it was pretty much predictable. I didn't see anything. Oh, there was one deck, now that I can think of it, but I don't even really know how to describe it or have a name for it. I sent it in the our chat on Messenger, but it was like Hoopa and Friends, I guess you would call it. I don't know if you guys would have a name for that, or if you've seen the list or whatever.
So it's kind of like a Dark Box-esque deck.
Yeah, it was basically, like a bunch of 1 prize attackers, I think. But that was
I
basically
didn't see it. I was trying to find out because you know me, I love dark.
I think it was on the top 4 list that we posted. Shameless plug, our local
No,
store.
he was in top 8.
Oh, okay. Our local store posts the top 4 or 8 if the players allow us at Utopia Games and Collectibles on Facebook. The shameless plug is now over. But I was gonna look it up to see, but apparently it wasn't in the top 4, so unfortunately we don't have the list. But I saw like just to try and do it, because I was gonna post it on Hey Fonte or whatever you have it.
Mhm.
But I couldn't describe it, so I was like, I'm not doing this. It was basically like a anti-meta as all heck. But besides that was like the only spice I really saw, to be honest. And then I think I forgot what ended up winning it. My apologies.
It was Malamar.
Yeah,
Malamar.
yeah, Finn won it, right?
Yeah.
Finn won it, yeah.
Finn won it with Malamar with his special little text and stuff that he had in it.
Yes, it's Cutter Tap. Subscribe,
Yeah,
apparently.
CutterTap, go subscribe. Is it CutterTap.com?
Yeah,
Is that what it is?
CutterTap.com.
Yeah.
Everyone go subscribe to CutterTap.com
Yeah, go support
and
the
make
local
sure
man.
make sure to coach with Finn. He's an amazing coach.
I have not coached with him, but I can say I haven't heard one person complain about
Yeah,
his
he's very
coaching.
good. Very,
And if
very
no
good.
one, not even one person is giving you a negative review, then you're either really good or you're just really good.
Yeah, well, there's not much not to like about the guy. He's really genuine.
Yep, I can honestly say I've talked to him very few times. I even played him with his own list one time. That was pretty funny. That was a long time ago. But he's a pretty cool dude. Go check them out. So he ended up winning, I believe. Second was Mew 3. It's all coming back to me now.
There you
4 was Pikarom, or 3rd was Pikarom.
Yeah, I think fourth was another Malamar, I think.
Yeah,
I
fourth
cannot
was another one.
Find this post to save my life. I should have just checked. It probably would have been faster to find it on Messenger. But for the most part, just to wrap it up without enough rambling, it was basically the decks that you expected to be there were there. And unfortunately, just to do my round by round, round one, I prayed against the person who ended up getting second with Mew 3. And it was one of those things where I was playing Blacephalon, and round one, I had the perfect, round one, turn one, I had the perfect turn one you could ever ask for. Welder, attach 3 energy, I'm board set up, I'm good. And on paper, it's a pretty good matchup anyway. So, I was feeling it. I wasn't going to say I was, cocky or anything like that, but I felt like I had a good chance. But, and he was bricking hard. I'm talking about he started, apparently he didn't start Mew 3 at all till the last round, and that was the one he lost. So he kept starting like all of his backup attackers. I can't remember what he started versus me. I think it might have been Jirachi. Just basically something bulky that he didn't want there. But after turn one, I was playing a Cynthia every turn. Couldn't draw anything. And it was just a matter of I couldn't draw anything, and then he eventually ran out of stuff that sucked to draw. And he just beat me. And just to put it in perspective, I took 0 prize cards.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oof.
Mr. One Shot deck took 0 prize cards. So that was round 2. I faced against another local. It was a mirror match and I donked him. Round 3, I played against one of Finn's friends, the Malamar. Or was that? No, actually, round 3 was against Green's Blacephalon. Because I was unequipped to play that deck. I was not prepared to play against Green Blacephalon. I didn't know how to play against it. So I ended up, we were going back and forth, and it's weird about Blacephalon. It might be one of the only decks in this format where you can be dominating, and then since you're 180, you can still lose late game, which is kind of weird. But I was dominating and winning, and then we were going back and forth because he played a Charizard in the list, and I ended up killing the Charizard pretty early and then killing some other stuff. And I had 1 prize card, and I hadn't GX'd yet, so going into my turn, I was winning regardless. He reset stamped me to 1 card, and it was the Dene, so I was still going to win. And he can only win with Welder plus Beast Energy, and apparently even after my own reset stamp, he had exactly everything he needed. Weldered, it all came down to those 3 cards, if he was going to beat me or not, and he got the Beast Energy on the 3rd card, and then beat me. So that was a tough L to take. I wasn't salty, but it was rough.
Yeah, a little salt in the wound.
Yeah, and then round 4 was when I played against Mike with his Malamar list. And I knew he had the Sizzler because he was the person who sat next to me round 1. And I was like, oh, that's spicy. And I knew he was a good player, so I was like, I gotta be on top of it. I was watching every single thing. I was taking it serious because I was like, if I went out, I could potentially get points. I probably won't win it or anything like that, but I was trying to get points. And it ended up going back and forth. We had a crucial judge call about a certain action, and it ended up going against his favor, and it changed the whole flow of the game, and we ended up going to time. And unfortunately, due to a misplay by myself, neither one of us were able to finish, and it ended up being in a tie. So I tied that round, and in round 5 I played against Alolan Eggs, and that man never saw a weakness guard to save his life, and I just raffle stomps. So I ended up going, what was that, 2-2-1 or?
Yeah.
2-2-1, yeah. So it wasn't too good of a tournament for me, but I think I had both my losses were pretty come on. One was last second, and another one, I played a draw supporter every single turn, so it just left it a draw. And that's for my league challenge. I think no one else went to any tournaments this week, correct?
No, I had a quick question though about the judge calling with Michael. Did you guys get a time extension?
Yeah, we got a pretty hefty one too. I believe it was 4 minutes or 5 minutes. Because it took a minute to decide, you know. It was a whole... Because we only had a few judges, and of course we had a few, like, I think we had 20 or 30 people. So it was a pretty packed house, and we honestly didn't expect that much because we were in Modesto. So Modesto is either hit or miss. Is that if there's no other tournaments that week, we'll be packed to the brim. If not, it's whoever shows up.
Yeah, I just didn't know on the judge call.
Yeah, it
because
ended up, like, I don't want to go into like exact rulings. So I'm not really sure if I'm allowed to say it and all that stuff.
Yeah,
But,
I just wanted to know about.
Just going. We had a time extension, and it changed the whole flow because we were both like, you know, in our zone, and then the whole game went off from there.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to the second topic, we have Metacalls and Rogue decks. To me personally, I don't think my Metacalls per se have changed. I will say that I think Malamar is finally appearing on my radar, even though I can never play the deck because I suck with that deck. And I believe we spoke on it a little bit. I can't remember if that was before the recording or not. It might have been. But it seems that water is finally starting to appear its weary head. So I'm sure either T or Joe would like to take over on that and see if they've had any changes or rogue decks pop up.
Joe, you want to go first?
Sure. So, yeah. So I was a bit surprised to see at our tournament the Negaquag. Appears the deck's still pretty solid. And in a fire meta, you know, you're gonna do really well. So I think it's fine. I don't think I would personally change my meta call. I think Malamar is still a really good pick. As far as you know, anti-meta stuff, like I had mentioned Keldeo in previous videos. Good fire meta, you can bring that. But yeah, I would pretty much still play Malamar just because it's versatile. It can hit big numbers. I can play like a spread deck. I can play it as a single prize attacker. It's pretty high skill cap, and I have fun playing it.
Okay. Real quick, if you don't mind, T, sorry. Since you had the one, I think you said right before the tournament or the night before you switched.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, Joe, if you had more practice, would it have been different, or was it just luck of the draw?
Yeah, I think there was one game in particular. Won't go into details. There's too much to talk about, but I did a crucial misplay pretty early in the game that messed up my setup, and that was due to basically it came down to do I want to discard a custom catcher, and my decision ultimately kind of like messed up my board state early, and I couldn't get set up fully, which actually in the long run made me lose the game. But yeah, to answer your question, I think you know, practice makes perfect. If I play a little bit more with that list, that exact 6G, I think I would have done a little bit better. But yeah, did the best I could.
All right, go
Yeah.
ahead, T.
Also, I think we need one more. In my opinion, I feel like the list would be perfect if we had one more draw supporter.
Yep.
But for that 60, I feel like that 60 was really good.
Yeah, it's a good 60. I just need to practice with it.
Yeah, no,
But
no leaks.
yeah, no. But
No leak.
for Metacalls, like Joe said, I was really surprised to see Naganadel Quagsire show up like at all. But you know, given that it is a fire meta and we do have a lot of like Malamar running around, like I guess, you know, Naganadel as a psychic type attacker does kind of help. And then, you know, Quagsire playing as a one prize attacker against Reshizard is ridiculous from what I saw. But other than that, we did have one Infinity Stones deck top.
Jesus Christ! Stop
Yep.
calling it that.
So
Oh,
I
baby.
just want to state that Infinity Stones is looking like a real deck if a really good player plays it.
The deck is really good, but I was coaching with Finn the other day, and he didn't really recommend it to me because it's a really skilled deck. Like you have to be on top of every play you make, and like it's just really skilled.
there are a lot of moving pieces in the deck.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
sorry to interject here, but for those of you who don't know what the Infinity Stones deck is, it's essentially Naganadel GX with some Malamars, and you essentially mill yourself and you play Shedinja, and you can stream Giratinas or your other attackers with a Shedinja on it, and then you kind of control the game. It's kind of a control-y deck, but you take your prizes and you're gonna win the prize trade because you got Shedinja.
Yeah, I have something to add to that. You also play the Knockout Reviver Poipole.
Purple.
Oh,
Which is-
that's a card.
Yeah, so you play that, and it's really busted.
What does that
Hold
card do
on.
again?
It's for 2 energy. If they knock it out, they don't take a prize card.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
So you attack, and unless they rope or some type of switching.
We don't have rope, so custom catcher.
Yeah, unless they custom catcher, they don't. It's basically like you have a life herb. They don't take a prize.
And
card
you
for
want to
it.
Stinger GX them, so it makes it so you just take knockouts with your Giratinas.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So,
the whole
the deck
list
is-
based upon that one playable I just saw today.
Yeah,
It's
the deck
pretty
has a lot
busted.
of moving pieces, and I like it a lot. If a really good player plays it, it can do some things.
Yeah, that deck is called like Team Think Tank the deck. So much thinking involved. No, I've never given it a shot, but it looks very difficult to play.
Yeah.
If you play Blind
It is.
Boys, don't go to that. I'm just gonna tell you right now.
Or we
But
can just
other-
play Greenzard.
Yeah. Other than that, my meta call is still the same with Malamar and Greenzard, because those are two really good decks that consistently do what they need to do every game. And with the inclusion of Lucenine in Greenzard,
Ooh.
beautiful. You're not losing the stadium war whatsoever. If you're trying to stick power plants on your opponent, you're in there like swimwear.
Not gonna lie, that little extra spice on it, that could just swing some stuff.
Yeah, so I like those two decks a lot.
What about you, Dom? You could do seniors perspective since we have no clue, to be honest.
Yeah, so basically the seniors meta is just like Zard and Blounds, because it's the most consistent decks, and like we don't really want to take a chance, I guess. But I feel like Quagnag is very good, because basically our meta is Blounds and Reshizard, so Quagnag just like wins that basically, those matchups. And it also has like the matchup I feel is favored for Quagnag like 70-30 in the Mewtwo matchup, the Mew 3 matchup, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, that's basically all about the seniors meta. I don't think Infinity Stones will be played in seniors that much, but I still do like the deck. Very good. And Green Zard is better than Ability Zard, in my
Shots
opinion.
fired.
In my opinion, just because it's a little bit more consistent, and you also beat, through my testing, you beat Ability Zard with Green Zard because you have healing if they can't knock you out with Flare Strike. So that's also a big bonus.
Oh wait, can I interject real quick and state that Mew 3 destroyed our cup?
Oh yeah. Oh, I have the top 8s right here. So
Oh, we totally
add it-
bypassed that.
yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, so I think the last couple, or at least I think it was the first cast, we were kind of dissing the Mewtwo Mew deck. It hadn't really made a presence in our local meta.
I think we just said it was very easily counterable, and so we gave it like 0 to no shot.
Yeah, something like that. But anyways, out of our top 8, we had 3 Mewtwo Mew decks that
Jeez.
topped. I think there were 4 people in Masters playing it, and 3 of them made cut. And then what else did we have? We had, it looks like 2 Green Zard, a Turbo Reshizard, and then 2 Naganadels.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, Naganadel. 2 Nagaquags.
Yeah.
Wait, is it two? No, is it one? No, sorry, apologies. One Nagaquag, and then the Infinity Stone stack.
There we go.
Busted.
Basically, no one could have predicted that top 8.
Nope.
Well,
Well,
the Nagaquag had 3 matchups if he hit the right deck. Jeez.
And this was for Masters, if we hadn't said. I know we were just talking about seniors.
Yeah, this is Masters, and then the top two. Oh, apologies. Go ahead, Dom.
Oh, I was just gonna say in seniors top 4 is just 2 Green Zards and then a Mewtwo Mew and a Quagnag.
Damn, Quagnag is taking shots.
Yeah, it's looking pretty good.
And
then,
Quag won for seniors, right?
Huh?
Quag won for seniors, right?
Yeah, because its matchups in top 4 were extremely good.
Nice.
Alright.
So what I was gonna say, so for the, does anyone know what made top 4? So we know that, we know the Mewtwo and Mew. There were 2 Mewtwo Mew decks in the finals.
I just know that it was 2 Mewtwo Mew and then 1 Zard. I don't know what the other deck was for top 4.
Statistically, another Zard maybe.
Probably.
No.
Probably. But yeah, Mewtwo Mew cleaned house at our cup, and it was Keon. Keon took the win.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Alright.
Oh, actually, I have it. Oh, I don't think this is the matchups, but I have the top 8. For the 8, so you wanted top 4, right?
Yeah. It was. It looks like it was actually a Mewtwo and another Restroom Charizard.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is this Green Zard's dojo?
So
Busted.
so it's got a spicy tech in there. Do you guys know what the Fighting Dojo card does?
It does 10 more
Yep.
for damage for something. I can't remember exactly what.
So if you have a fighting energy attached to one of your Pokemon, it does 10 more damage. But if you have more prizes than your opponent, it does 40 more.
And you just need
So-
a fighting energy?
Yes. So now you attach a fighting energy to your Reshizard, and Flare Strike hits for 270 exact.
And
Wow.
you win.
Bye, Pika Rom.
By Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
By
Mewtwo.
Mewtwo, by Reshi, by Pika. It's really nice tech. I don't like it because, for me personally, I prize every crucial card, so I have to play them in multiples, and I don't like playing multiple like Fighting Energy or Dojo. So that's just my issue. I'm a real numbers person.
I like the deck personally. It's actually pretty consistent because you can play a copy of the Energy Spinner, and then with greens you could find your parts. Like if you have double catches in hand, or you're missing a crucial card, and you can hit the magic number on pretty much any tag team in the format.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was playing Emery Taylor's list, and I cut the. I'm totally blanking right now. I just forgot what I was gonna say.
So you cut a card and replaced it with some card.
It's fine. Just go ahead. I'll if
Did
if
you
it comes
figure
back
out
to
what
me.
top 4 was, Joe? Because I just got it.
Yeah, I think we touched it up.
Okay, my bad. I finally got it, sorry.
Oh yeah. I cut the energy spinner for a second crystal, because I feel like having 2 crystals instead of a 1 energy spinner, 1 crystal line is just a tad bit better.
Maybe.
Swag. Hey, did you notice a difference, or was it just on paper you thought it was better?
On paper, I thought it was better, but it might not have been better. I haven't really tested with energy spinner, but it might be good. But I feel like searching out, like, if I have a fiery flint and I have no energies in hand and have a welder, I feel like I want to get out my, like, more energies than just 1, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, sounds good. But I think we've. Why don't we get into something new, brand new, and actually adding more than I thought it would add? Because I thought it was just a money grab set. To be completely honest with you, new cards and hidden fates. What do you? Is there anything? I think we might have briefly touched on it last week. I'm not sure, but is there anything in this scene play? I know there's one card I'd pick out that was kind of a shock for me, and that's that random Charizard that does 140 that Mew 3 is starting to play, which is pretty busted because it gives you so many options to I can hit you for 140, 230, or 300. You pick one.
Also,
Yeah,
not to
I
mention,
feel
it knocks
like-
out any tag team with these. Doesn't have to try.
Oh,
Yep.
100%. I think Mew 3 is about to be like the most rampant deck, and no one's ready.
And you think that one card did it?
Yeah, I think that one card because now you one shot anything in the format. Like, what do you do to that?
Oh, I think
Lose.
yeah.
That's what you do.
I think the main thing was I forgot to mention is that you could one shot all the little stuff and still attack the next turn because it doesn't have the prerequisite of I do 230 and I can't do this next turn. So you're just like, oh hey Giratina, 140, and then you do it again and again.
On top of still having Turbo Strike to like charge energy to something in the back.
The fact that you
Like-
can 140 something and at any point pull 230 out of the hat is busted.
Yeah.
It's completely busted.
So I feel like Mew Mew is just hitting the right numbers right now with the new Charizard. What else do we have? I think we touched on, us getting Pokemon Center Lady back,
Yeah, we
which I think is really cute because I think it's really decent in a Pikarom matchup if they try to like just keep you paralyzed with Choo Choo because it heals 60 and then clear status condition.
all of them too.
Yeah, so there's that spicy tech.
I
And
was
then-
gonna mention Jesse and James just for the sheer fact that I literally saw I think 30 minutes before this podcast that what was he calling it? The stupid Malamar Poiple where they don't take a prize card and they were playing the two Jesse and James.
So
Jesse and James is gonna have some play outside of hey I have to run the Weezing and Arbok.
I came up with something disgusting, and I haven't tested this, but I like this idea because I used it for Zora briefly. Was you play 3 Metal Energies, a couple Mount Coronets, and now you can, in an Oranguru type deck,
You just
you
build them.
you just discard their hand. So you Jesse and James away your Metal Energies, get them back with Mount Coronet. And if you have the ability to surge, you can double Jesse and James, and you're only discarding Metal Energies because you treat them as eggs and expanded.
Man, why you gotta leak this? This
I
sounds really
forgot.
cool.
I forgot how Surge is going to be more prominent now that our decks are slower.
Oh yeah.
That is just like
So-
Joe said. He just dropped a leak bomb if I've ever seen one.
I haven't tested it at all, so if anyone wants to go ahead and do the work for me, have at it. I'll drop that little nugget real quick.
You just Mr. Burns. Hey, go do all the hard work. Then it won't count as a net deck because I threw the deck to you.
Yep.
Yeah, I would definitely try that out. That sounds really fun.
In Atlantic
it
City,
sounds-
we
it
see
sounds
that
fun
deck
for me.
win. Oh wait,
Okay.
Atlantic City won't. I don't think Atlantic City will have Hidden Fates, will it?
That's this weekend, right?
No, it's September 29th.
Oh, yeah.
Hidden
it'll
Fates
be-
is legal to 20 something. I'm not sure.
Hidden Fates is legal on the 6th.
Is it?
Yeah,
Sure.
Baby.
You sure?
100%.
Oh, it's been out for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Just,
that might be.
we wouldn't know because there's none in our area.
Dude, I got lucky. I found 8 boxes in our area.
The
Did you
tins just
really?
came out today, so make sure you guys go check those out.
Yeah, they
The
had the
tins,
big,
the
they
Mewtwo
restocked.
tins?
Mewtwo, Charizard, and I don't know what the third one is.
The Tina.
Tina.
Oh, baby.
Yeah, so your Mewtwo prices are going to start dropping.
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely gonna buy some.
Is Charizard
Yeah, hit-
still holding like 25, 30? Or did
Uh,
that drop?
No,
it's
regular
like
arts
10.
are like. I was gonna say regular arts are like 15 last I checked.
They're 10 now. I just sold one.
Are they really? Oh,
Yeah.
baby,
Oh, that's
time to
disgusting.
pick them up.
Also, probably should stock up on that because Charizard never loses value.
Never.
Nope.
And if you're lucky enough to get one worth PSA grading, oof.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking on TCG Player right now. The new Hidden Fates Charizard is lowest listing about $8.
Oh, the freaking hype is already hit. Jeez.
How much are Mewtwo's?
Well, I have it here. Let me see. Those are, I believe, 24.
Jeez.
Okay.
Yeah,
all my
yeah, they're kind of
favorite.
they're still holding right now. But the set just came out, or the tins just came out, so there's virtually
I think they're.
very
I don't
little.
even think they're officially out. Sorry to interrupt. I think it's just like the usual. Hey, we're gonna sell stuff early because what are release dates?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that Mewtwo will get banned and expanded because of like Dimension Valley and Toad and having so many attackers? We can have it expanded and all the busted cards we have.
Oh shoot, should we have this conversation right now?
Yeah,
Because
I think we
I
should.
thought it was, or was that a meme post that I saw?
Oh,
That's
that
a
was
meme.
that was a meme.
Oh, I
was a
fell
meme.
for that dumb meme.
Yeah.
Don't believe everything on Verbank or whatever it was.
Did you guys see the Mewtwo Exodia idea?
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not as broken as the old Zoroark Exodia was, and for those of you who don't know what the Exodia deck does in Expanded, it basically tries to kill your hand turn 1, going first to make you start the game with like 1 or 2 cards. Zoroark used to do it with a combination of Skyfield and Delinquent, and they would blow up their board searching for the red card Delinquent and Stadium combo, and then just completely wreck you. I lost the top 64 match at I think it was Portland due to that. Or no, it was Anaheim. But anyways, so there is a Mewtwo Mew variant that can kind of similarly do that. You use Unfair GX from the Honchkrow, which I thought personally would never see play. But the Haunch, so you can Mars your opponent, then you can ice pick, and then discard their hand and get them to 1 card. So they have, I think it's their 1 card in their top deck per turn.
Jeez.
Yeah. And the Chip Ice Axe looks at the card and you pick what card is going up top.
So you're at least bricking them for 1 turn.
Yeah, but
Busted
the
broken.
downside is it's you can't do it first. You can't attack.
Yeah.
So the worst you could do is red card him, which you could do anyways in Expanded, going first.
D Valley is 1 colorless, right?
Yeah, less.
Yes, 1 color's less.
Busted.
So
And especially you can now Noivern item lock your opponent for 50 damage.
Ugh.
oh, baby.
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of disgusting, in my opinion, options. I do think that the Exodia deck would be the one to play, because I just frankly see the other variant getting destroyed by Garbodor, and like I understand that we now have Stealthy Hood in the format that that can potentially help that deck, but certain decks might give that deck some
So
problems.
you're saying the control version versus like the, oh, I got all these new attackers version.
I'd play the control version. That seems more fun. But then again, I'm
But
kind
you're
of a
saying
degenerate.
it's better than the other one, right?
I would think so.
But do we think it needs to get banned though?
Give it 1 regional, see what happens.
I also
And then
say
drop the
same
X.
thing. Because like
That was my
on paper, you just close your eyes and you think you're like D Valley busted, like, and then but at the same time it's gonna suffer from the same crap that
Power Plant, Silent Lab.
yeah, like, and then now it has to deal with turn 1 item lock. Do I have?
Oh yeah.
Do I think it has the potential to be bannable? Sure. Do I think it has the best potential to be bannable out of everything that's new? Heck yes. Do I think it'll be banned? No, unless it just like pulls what was it, trump card when they're like, nah, we're not gonna ban this, and then it was in every deck on day 2 or whatever. Unless it pulls off something like that, I don't think Pokemon's gonna like quick hot fix expanded.
Like I said, though, I don't know if I said this before the recording, but I think I definitely like Archie's, especially for seniors, because everyone just plays Trev, and you just cross division all of their phantoms.
Did you
Oh,
say
yeah.
cross division
Cross division?
in Archie's?
What is
Yeah.
cross division?
It
I knew
was-
you were my
it was
nephew
that-
for a reason.
It was Rahul's list. I was watching a video on the Chaos Jam.
Go check them out.
I knew you were my nephew for a reason. That's moist.
What is cross division? Because I don't know, so maybe some people watching don't know.
Are you talking cross division GX, Espeon, Deoxys?
Yeah,
That's
let
Yeah.
me search up the exact reading.
Oh, I got
want to
it.
get. All right, so it
it's
says.
for
Oh, okay, go ahead.
a psychic and a double colorless, you put 10 damage counters anywhere you like on your opponent's Pokemon. But if you have 3 extra energies in addition to the requirement, so 6 energies total, it's 20 damage counters wherever you like on your opponent's board.
Oh, so you just play rainbows and then you're good.
Yeah,
Or you can just
No,
play the
you
one
just
psychic.
play. He played 2 psychic and then just.
Easy.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
because your deck's
You can
gonna
go
be
back-
tiny anyway, right? That is
Yeah.
cancerous.
Yeah,
That's
you're playing
cool.
Archie. The deck's gonna be small.
I didn't think Archie's could get worse, but then you're like, oh here, let me drop 20 damage. Is that can they do that turn 1?
Yeah.
Well,
You know
if they
how
get turn 1
Pokemon doesn't-
Archies.
You know how Pokemon doesn't like them turn 1 I wins.
Well, it's really hard to do. Like,
Yeah, you gotta get a lot of pieces
just like
of
turn
the puzzle.
1 towering splash for 8 was hard. It's about the same level of difficulty.
Because your psychic would have to count as your attach return, right?
Yeah,
does-
and then you just
or does
appear your
Blastoise
energy
say-
retrieval.
Does Blastoise specify water?
Yes, it does.
it says water. So
I
you
have
would-
one right here. It says Deluge. As often as you like during your turn before you attack, you may attach a water energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon.
Okay, so you can attach as many waters, and then you'd have to attach the 1 psychic.
Mhm.
Yeah, Floatstone, doable. Maybe not versus Trev, but
I don't know.
Going,
I
you're
also
going
like
Dust
Dark
turn
Bucks.
1 anyway, so
Yeah.
Dark Box is good, but it's a little bit inconsistent.
There's
I-
no such thing as Dark Box. It's Turbo Dark and expanded.
all I know is I think
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I said it last podcast, but I'm the biggest fan of Dark Box, but I just don't. I'd have to see it to believe it. Basically, my heart wants it to do good because I'm tired of these controls winning. To be honest, I want knockouts. I want damage. I want it to be riggedy wrecked.
I have Dark Box expanded built.
Oh, so we should start wrapping up. So
Yeah, let's go to this
The
last
white
topic real
issue.
quick. Since we basically
Yeah.
touched on changes in senior meta as
Yeah.
we were talking through the other stuff, and I want to hear Joe's opinion on this. So basically, in a nutshell, we're going to keep names out of it because it's not the type of podcast we are as much as I'd like it to be. We're not going to, witch hunt people. But
we don't have enough insurance for that.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have enough. Oh, did you say insurance?
Yeah.
We don't have any. We're in America. But just to give a little background, at the local league challenge that I went to, there was some outrageous amount of judge calls. I'm talking about. I'm pretty sure every round had at least 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there was certain people who had to be watched during whole rounds, and you can just feel the tension from game 1, round 1. Like,
Mhm.
people were in here trying to play like it was Worlds, and they were in top 8 already. So basically, what I want to say is, why do you think Pokemon players take competitive Pokemon too seriously? And like a part two of that, is there anything we can do? And we'll start off with Joe since I believe he has to leave soon.
So I guess first off, for those who don't know, I'm a judge. So I can see things from a judge perspective and a player perspective.
Mhm.
So as far as the question, why do people take the game so seriously? I think that's with anything really. Like, you know, every competitive card game, you have people that want to do the best they can, that want to be the very best, as you will. But you know, there are people that are going for their invites the start of the season. As far as we know, there are no caps to the. There's no best finish, or there's no quarterly best finish limits for events. So people are going crazy right now trying to get all their events.
Nice.
I think regardless, you're just gonna have players that take it really seriously. And can you go a little more into those judge incidences? So what kind of
Yeah.
judge calls were they?
There were the run of the mills ones, but the ones in particular that actually matter there were numerous accounts of rushing to the point where people had to be watched for their whole round.
Okay, so
For one, and then for two, which I'm sure is the one that we're all kind of thinking about, is there was an incident where a player was threatened by another player, and it all started from there was multiple people trying to rule shark. And just to clarify, if you don't know what rule sharking is, where it's where actually I'm not even really sure how to define that. Do you guys
rule sharking, from my interpretation, it's kind of, it could potentially be you kind of using, like, bending the rules a little bit to try to gain an advantage in the game. I don't know, I guess an example I can think of is, for example, in Expanded, since we just touched on that, you have like propagation egg or whatever that comes from discard to hand. If you say propagate or something, but your opponent didn't hear you, and they can say that they didn't hear you, they can push that advantage. That's kind of what I interpret rule sharking as. Does anyone else?
basically, you know, the rules so good, you kind of use it to your advantage, but in a kind of scummy / like conniving way. I don't know if that's a better way to say it, but
Another example from the challenge, obviously we're not naming names, but there was a Viridian in play. Player discarded a card to search for Viridian, then played a Giant Hearth over, and then tried to discard for their Giant Hearth, and the opponent was like, no, you discarded for your Giant Hearth already, and tried to, push that narrative. So those are the type of things.
yeah. And it was basically like, it was a bunch of small things, and then it was, I think the main thing that led to the whole me talking about this and leading up to this particular incident was that it was a bunch of my word versus yours. And I'm sure Joe can speak on it, and that's one of the worst things to judge on, because you can't really prove anything.
Wait,
Yeah,
pause for a second.
Yeah,
Dom,
Yes.
stop hand shuffling.
All right.
It's loud.
Sorry,
Alright,
go ahead, Joe.
Alright. So, yeah, so those he said, she said, they are very difficult to judge. It's, coming from a judge perspective, you have to do a ruling in such a way where you don't tip the balance of the game into either player's favor. You don't want to bias it. Those types of games make it very difficult. It's imperative to rewind the game state as best you can, and make the best ruling in your opinion that would solve it fairly.
Yeah, and just to put in perspective, I had one of these rulings. It was my word versus the other players. And I don't want to name anything, but basically the judge had to go off of this. And I think she used a very good way to describe it without without taking sides, like Joe said. It was she had to go off of what the board state was, since she wasn't there from the beginning of the round. She didn't personally see this happen or this didn't happen. She listened to both sides. We both had a chance to explain ourselves, and we got questions from the judge to further explain, to either confirm your story or to defer so she could better say not necessarily who's lying, but maybe who's not lying. I don't know how to describe it, but basically to solidify who was right. And it ended up being, no matter how long we talked about it, she just had to go off of what she knew, and what she knew was whatever was already on the board. And stuff like that had been happening throughout the rounds, so there was kind of high tensions already, because not to name names and no shade whatsoever, but it was the same certain people or group of people who were doing it. And it started to spread to this person, to that person, and it started to be this big buildup. And in this particular instance, the person who got loud and angry and may or may not have threatened someone was because they weren't having it, so to speak. And the other person may or may not, I didn't personally witness it, so I'm not going to say this happened or that happened, but according to what I'm sure we all have heard, may have not been trying to rule Shark, and that's what ended up a threat may or may not happening, and then it led to this whole thing where we had to have a special meeting where the owner and judge talked to everybody, and I just don't think we should have stuff like that. And I don't know if you had finished speaking, Joe, but that's basically more in-depth than what had happened. It was a bunch of my word versus yours, culminated with just a sheer number of judge calls to where it raised tensions to the point where that incident in round 5 happened.
Yeah, that sounded quite like a crazy event. And from what I've heard, the judges handled it really well. So props on them. But unfortunately, like I said earlier, there are people in card games and in real life in general that tend to, be a little more out there with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and then just to touch on it, at the end of the day, I don't know if you guys can say this, but I went through my phase where, yes, I want to qualify for Worlds. Yes, I want to do good, but I'm at the point where I think I know my skill level, basically, so I don't get as tilted. I don't know if you guys can say the same thing. Yeah, I'll get my tilted moments, what have you, but at the end of the day, it was a league challenge. I'm not going to go take it that serious to where I'm calling the judge 3 times in the same round, or I need a person to watch my round just because, for the sheer fact that we don't like each other, And I don't know if you had a chance to answer the second half, Joe. Do you think there's a way of handling it, or do you just think it's just going to happen and judges just have to, take the cards that are dealt and handle as best as possible?
Well, I think regardless, judges will have to eventually deal with it and should learn how to deal with it. I imagine Stage 2 judges and regional judges have to deal with this more often than basic judges or Stage 1 judges. However, to address the problem, I'm not sure if there's a way to actually address it, because it's human. It's human. The human component. You can make events as friendly as possible, or as open as possible, whatever have you. And regardless, someone might be having a bad day. They might be nitpicking someone a little bit. Someone might be trying really hard, trying to get an unfair advantage. Could be a lot of things. I think it always will exist in these type of competitive environments, and I think the only thing we really can do is know how to handle the situations, how to relieve tension, conflict resolution in general. These are all good skills to have. That's my kind of 2 cents on it.
Yeah, and then I just remembered one incident that just happened, but I think you pretty much said not pretty much what we expect, the usual answers we'd say. Not to say that they're predictable or whatever, but there was one more incident that I just recalled. I think it was round 2, where a player didn't even sign their match slip because they had, I believe it was like a last second loss or something, and just stormed off. So stuff like that, I just think, like that stuff shouldn't be happening. It's hard for me to think as a judge because I've been out of the judge thing for a bit, so I don't really per se have that mindset. But as like just a human being, I just don't think that stuff should happen, especially at a league challenge. You know what I mean? Like
There's
Yeah,
just
it's
a
a league
level
challenge.
15
of
points and you're over here storming off, red in the face, cussing and threatening.
There's just-
And
a level of sportsmanship that I feel like everyone needs to have going into any type of event, any competitive event. There's just a level of sportsmanship that I feel like everyone needs to have because the cards aren't always going to go in your favor, and you should know this by now.
and it's sad to say because maybe Dom can confirm this. It's never the kids. It's always the grown men who
Mhm.
are acting like children.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you have to deal with this a lot in seniors, Dom? Is there usually a lot of hot tempers and?
No, there's like a few judge calls here and there, but nothing really serious. Like we're kids playing a card game. I don't think it's like we got to take it to a whole level. Oh, and like, let's be honest, we're all seniors. Like, we're most likely gonna get our invite. We just got to show up.
The fact that you
But-
finally admitted that just confirmed something
Yeah,
that
but
I've
you might
had.
hurt some people's feelings.
I mean, it's true. Let's be real. Hey, I showed
Look,
up
my
today.
boys are
Oh,
350.
50 points. Here you go.
Look, my boy's at 350. He still plays his rounds and
Oh,
plays well.
I think
so
Dom
that's,
is a goat.
yeah. I was like,
I
I
think-
still think that's phenomenal.
Like, we don't get free wins, but we definitely don't have it as hard as Masters.
I don't think
you know,
you
like
guys have the grind that a master does. Like, no shade. I think the only grind that seniors have is top 16. But for
Yeah.
masters, I feel like it's a grind every single tournament.
mhm.
I don't know if that's like the wrong take on that, but that's basically what I get from that. And real quick, T, I think you briefly talked on it. Did you have anything to say about the whole seriousness?
Oh, aside from level of sportsmanship, I think the owner said it best. The person across from you is another human being. You don't know
Mhm.
what kind of day that person is having. You don't know what they're going through, and they're playing this game to have fun. So let's all try to remember that and try to have fun playing a card game that we all enjoy. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be super serious.
Exactly. And at the end of the day, Ash is 11, so it's a kid's game. But we'll wrap it up there. I think that's a perfect note to end it. Just to
Yep.
give a quick synopsis, have fun. The meta is apparently quickly evolving. Whether you're seniors or a masters. And since we have, do you have, I think, I'm not sure if I'm even supposed to, I don't know. You're our first guest, so I want to thank you for coming on, Dom, taking some time out of your riffless shuffling and practicing. Do you have anything you want to shout out or anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Not really. Just shout out to you guys for having me on here. That's about it.
All right, and then T, Joe, you guys have anything to say?
So you go ahead.
I have nothing to say. Check out Think Tank episode 2. We were a little late getting it up, just some technical difficulties on our side, but we'll keep cranking them out and we'll keep working through this.
Yeah, then I like to say thanks to all our listeners and thanks to all the feedback we've been getting. We're addressing them and we're trying to change them as we go. And as always, if you have any comments, questions, want us to talk about something fun or cool, just leave a leave a comment in the description, and we'll look at it.
We will take any and all criticism. We're trying to quickly evolve because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just thought our locals will watch this, but based on those views, I think we're doing something right here. And we'll figure out all the little technical stuff. Believe me, I personally will do my best to fix that. And we'll hit you guys next week. And I don't know, do you guys want to have another guest next week? Or are we going to 3-man it? Or we'll just leave it
We'll
open
play by ear.
for now?
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
play
Right
by ear.
here.
Thank
Be
you,
surprised.
Dom, once again. Thanks, Team Joe, for joining. And this has been episode 3 of the Think Tank GX podcast. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace!
Peace.
Alright guys, thanks for watching. Remember to like the video, leave a comment of what you want to see next, and subscribe. T here from the Break Even TCG channel, signing out.